Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oops. Who just woke up? So, oh yeah, Monday. Is my mic on? Who knows? Monday, November 23rd, 8 o'clock in the morning. Halfway through my first cup of coffee. Today I'm going to. I look tired. I am tired, even though I've just woke up. Last few days I've not been feeling very well physically. I've been unwell, so it's no big deal. I mean, we all have moments, so those roller coaster moments. Treating life seriously and keeping a sense of humor, very important. And if you read the story about what was going on out there and you weren't allowing it to seep into you, and you saw it as all dark and sad, then you would definitely lose your sense of humor. It reminds me of that great, it's a good word, this soliloquy, whatever. The Hamlet one. Oh, what a piece of work is man. Anyway, I'm going to read a piece of poetry, and I'm going to do it random from my book that was published this year. I missed out on a Zoom session with a bunch of poets and authors that write for Human Error Publishing Company, who published my book, the great poet Paul Richmond, who delivers his poetry in a deadpan fashion, but it always has a subtle sense of humor and a real commentary on what's going on. Mine is no idea. So I'm going to open it at random and read the first poem. The only reason I'm doing this is to remind myself that this is who I am, and as well as this is who I am. I'm a writer and a musician and a singer and a producer and an artist. So I need to remind myself once in a while, because sometimes I feel the darkness creeping in from the seriousness of life. So I have to remind myself that if you're not enjoying it, change it. Oh, a giggle. There you go. That helps. Oh, excuse me. Tired. There it is. So I wrote this one. Oh, here's one. This one was put into a song, and the song has the same title. It's called Barely Holding On. And there are versions of the song that we did with different mixes. There's a brilliant mix of it that my music partner, Derek, did a version. Derek, I, and a friend called Chuck from, who's a brilliant singer. Anyway, he did a version of Barely Holding On dub version. And that dub version is brilliant because it talks about the seriousness of the situation we were in. And this came out a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, whatever. But it's the seriousness of the situation, especially in Los Angeles, as we witness an increase, a dramatic increase in the amount of homelessness and sadness around us, and how we've got to lift our spirits and lift those around us who are worse off than us. And there's always going to be somebody worse off than us. So we're going to always be lifting people up. It's important. So care and empathy and the usual bumper sticker rhetoric from Nigel, but I truly mean it. I mean, it may seem like rhetoric, but you have to live life. And the important thing is to recognize the slippery slope when I'm talking about being down and then getting yourself back up. Now, if you can recognize the start of the slippery slope, something within you goes, oh God, I feel terrible. God, I feel, this is all getting to me. This is all getting, and then you get halfway down that slope. You go, no, I'm not going to the bottom. So in your own way, you're recognizing this external creeping into you, and you're just going, oh no, and you lift yourself back up. Well, that's what I'm doing to myself this morning, so as I can be more effective in helping those that I'm talking about lifting up. So in a way, this poem called Barely Holding On was me. I was probably writing it at a time when I was on the downward slope. I'd like you to listen to the song. If you look up Tunnel Mental on YouTube, we have our own channel where we put out music, and the song's called Barely Holding On. I'd like you to listen to the song, but I'm going to just speak the words now to remind myself, because I was feeling physically unwell for the last few days. I'm feeling much better today, but it's like, and I feel myself going back up. So it's like I'm in that little space, and I'm recognizing it, and then trying to lift myself out of it with humor and with art and music and a level of, I think somebody called it inner standing of who I am. All right. Anyway. Oh, another sip of coffee. Yay. Oh, that was high. My voice is cracking. That's funny. Oh, sometimes my truth hurts me. Sometimes my truth raises me. I've got to remember where within this resonance I stand. Okay. Barely holding on. I'm not entirely sure I can take this anymore. What I kept at a distance is knocking at my door. I'm safe within these walls. I block out all the calls. I wrap it all up tight. Avoid the old pitfalls. Future shock, a killer's clock. The standing wave is death. The golden glow, eternal flow, a life in every breath. Lost my grip, I slipped. No pride, no lie, no con. Naked, raw, and open wide. I'm barely holding on. It's creeping up inside. I've no will left to fight. Defense is breaking down. It's making me uptight. I numb the nagging pain that chills me to the bone. I'm standing in the light. Am I standing on my own? The human condition, an endless rendition, is serving a master who led us astray. I'm barely holding on. Yeah, that's the only one. I'm not going to read any more of that poetry book, which is available on Bandcamp, Tunnel Mental Bandcamp merch. There's a link where you can go purchase it in the merchandise section of Tunnel Mental's Bandcamp page. And I'd like it if you bought it, because the publishing company, the small publishing company, independent Human Error publishing company who put my book out, they could do with some sales, and so could I, because I do get a share of those sales. So that would be good. And if you're at Tunnel Mental on Bandcamp or Tunnel Mental anywhere, there's usually links where you can purchase merchandise and music and art. So support artists, because artists will help you get through this current blip. This, it's a funny noise. Dip. Many have helped me. I've been listening to a lot of music. I've been listening to a lot of music that's combined with philosophy and talks. One person in particular I listen to quite a lot because he has a very soothing voice and a way of explaining the bigger picture and then how that impacts you. A great speaker, a very learned man called Alan Watts. On my YouTube channel, Tunnel Mental, our YouTube channel, there's a section called Inspiration, and there's a couple of pieces on there where you can look at Alan Watts, look at my images and listen to Alan Watts and try and absorb what he says, because it's Zen interpreted, but at the same time it's more than that. It's applied to the Western world, which is not always easy. Some great interpreters of the early teachings of Zen kind of missed the mark because the Western mind wasn't able to translate it in to the same way, to how it applies to a different culture. And so, culturally it's significant that I believe Alan Watts did a great job of interpreting a lot of Eastern philosophy, because it's philosophy, not religion. But he talks about if there isn't a subject that Alan Watts didn't do a lecture on, and I'm loath to call them even lectures, they're just chats. But if there's a subject he didn't cover, I don't think it's probably that important. And there's the sense of humor. What is important? He does a great one on the Joker, which lifted me up a little bit over the last few days, because I listened to, I think it's like a 3-hour lecture, but it's not. He's just talking with an audience and relating to the need for that sense of humor, that sense of knowing that everything is changing. I mean, everything is changing. You know, he relates it to court jesters and, you know, people who use humor in order to help change society and do it in a subtle way with a sense of humor. I have a tendency to be a bit too dour, too as a friend of mine recently pointed out, said, your stuff's a bit dark. And it's like, recognition of the dark helps me keep my light. So it helps me. And most of what I write, actually, I don't even feel too much. I mean, it just comes to me. So in a way, I suppose that's maybe my personality is that way inclined, you know, to take things quite seriously. But I have to remind myself that one of the things I enjoy is great comedy and great humor. Some great humor from my childhood it still resonates with me today. My grandfather had a tremendous sense of humor, and yet he'd seen more suffering than I would care to ever witness. You know, he was in the Second World War and saw great horror, and you know, he worked as a nurse most of his life after the war. But he kept a sense of humor. We only used to see him for a short time every year. I mean, maybe a couple of times a year. He lived a little far away from where I was raised, and we didn't have the modes of transport that we had today. So it was, you know, it was like, oh, well, he lives over there, you know, so it was really difficult. But we saw him a couple of times a year. He used to come to us around Christmas time and always had a sense of humor. So I have to remind myself that that sense of humor is traveling through my lineage and keep it, even though things do get serious. You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. Laughter is great medicine. I'm drinking water, ran out of coffee. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So try and remind yourself today that art, music, humor can transport you outside of this society's influence over you. So remind yourself that good art, good music, good humor, try and keep those things in balance. All right. I'm going to eat breakfast. Oh, and I'm also going to watch, I don't watch much TV. I try to watch none, but the TV I do watch is live sports, and I like some live sports. So I'm going to watch some live sports today, just to remind myself that the world is still carrying on as normal. And so I'm going to watch a live sporting event. And I know that the crowds aren't there because of this stupid situation we've got ourselves in, but that too will change. But to see something that's happening live, there's absolutely no need for me to remind anybody that most of what they put on television is garbage. Most. But there are some good comedies, some good live sporting events, but avoid the news. I mean, I'm not saying avoid knowledge, because news used to be knowledge. We used to have knowledge of the womb. We used to get knowledge from the external world via the screen in the corner of the room, and we could trust it somewhat. Now I know we can't trust it, because I actually see news reports of places where I am in the world from other places in the world, and it's completely and utterly different. So I might be located here in Los Angeles, and I'll see a news report from the BBC, for instance, because of technology, and my friends send me clips and say, "Oh, what's going on there?" And I'm like, "No, I was there, and it wasn't like that at all." And they show some footage, and then they'll give an opinion based on that footage, and it's completely, and I mean completely, different from what the reality of it was. And that's how the media, oh dear, see, I'm going down that rabbit hole. Don't trust the news source that you used to trust when it was a simple ticker tape of a report. There's smoke over the freeway. There could be an accident. Now the report would read, huge fire in Los Angeles as traffic problems escalate into major catastrophe. I can look out my window far off in the distance and I can see the freeway. If I see a plume of smoke, I could just say a plume of smoke over the freeway. That's it. That's all I can see. Or I could use all this flowery language to report it as sensational, and that gets them more viewers, but it becomes then that. And then you also not just get an inflammation of a report, but you get a false account. That's without me getting into any conspiracy theory of evil controllers are controlling the news reports. I'm not getting into any of that, which I believe also happens. So avoid news reports because they're inflammatory at best. I mean, at worst, they're manipulative, but inflammatory is enough. I mean, that in itself is enough for me to go, no, it's not happening. I mean, with the technology we have today, our connectivity to the world is much, 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 much better to each other and to the world. And so that too becomes manipulated. I've had some of my opinions banned by social media, even though I clearly state this is just my opinion. So if you're not entitled to free speech and free opinion, and then all the news you get is from a mainstream source that may or may not be manipulated, you've got to start thinking that we're living in an age where the control system is trying to filter us into a funnel. So I want to do the opposite. I want people to recognize, even if they're right in the tip of that funnel, that you can flip it and open it up. You know, I want to do the opposite. I want to let people realize that you may have to go on this journey into a very dark place before you lift yourself out of this journey, you know. So you can still come out of the tunnel mental. You can still come out of it. But you need love, major, you know. So it's again, I said I'd keep this short. It's now rolling on because I can't help rolling on. Keep your sense of humor. Understand that you can change everything, and understand that if you're going to change everything, love is the most important thing to take with you on that journey. Put your back on. Loads of love, empathy, all those, you know, wonderful things, compassion. These are all things that you can carry and you can bring with you, but don't bring all the other rubbish. It's just not worth it. It's not worth hanging on to. To go forward on this journey of life, which it is. It's a brilliant journey. Keep that sense of humor. Keep music and art and the things that make you happy, nature. Keep those things with you and venture forward. Adventure. All right. Love, live life. I love all of you. Ending this stream. I didn't get anybody to come chat to me, but I don't even know if chat is on. I like to do it live because occasionally I'll get people chat, and I've stayed on long enough, I think, for somebody to join if they wanted to join me, but I didn't announce it beforehand because I just do this spontaneously. Love you. All right. Keep going forward and don't drag all the rubbish with you. Bring love and peace and all the beautiful things you really want. All right. Cheers then.